I'm Suzanne Arnold, and I'm the Director of Teacher Education at the University of Colorado, Denver, underneath our Continuing and Professional Education Department. What that means is the School of Education decided to go into the alt licensure world a number of years ago, and they said, hey, Suzanne, would you take this project on and create an alt license program, which then it moves it over to our Continuing Professional Education Department. Along with this, I also lead what we call EDU, for teachers by teachers, professional development for teachers in the Denver, actually statewide. We have statewide PD that we provide. As well as some MA programs. But here, I'm here to talk to you. I know many of you, some are here from higher ed, some are here from public education, and I'm actually here to share for both audiences, because what we discovered in terms of the needs that evolved in our program around alt licensure, I think are really good fits for K-12 education, and I'm actually going to talk quite a bit about those fits, and actually you'll explore some of those yourself. So. The outcomes are, I would like to share with you and show you how asynchronous video coaching can extend the frequency and quality of your classroom observations with your teachers. Second, I want to demonstrate using the Athena Platform, I'll talk more about that later, how video coaching develops teachers' reflective practices and integration of professional learning directly into practice where you can actually see it happening in the classrooms. And I'm going to share with you two models that we have evolved from our work of video coaching, one-on-one, as well as what we call video club cycles. The first thing I'd like for you to have, in the folks that you're kind of seated around, I'd like for you to have an initial discussion relating to observations, effectiveness, teacher effectiveness. What are the challenges and barriers that you have for your current coaching or teacher development and practices in your school, your district, at your university? Is it a process? What are the process challenges? What are the teacher engagement challenges, the effectiveness challenges, anything else that pop up? I'd like you to have just a short little conversation amongst yourselves to talk about some of those challenges and barriers that you have. Go ahead. Yes, the lag. The lag between actual observation to when you can get that teacher and debrief about it, and then it's like, oh, what happened in between those times? Yeah, the efficiency of the whole process, and how many times you can get in to actually see them. So here are some of the barriers that came up for us. So to give a little bit of background on our program, and actually I'm going to go. This is our program reach in the state of Colorado. Every one of those markers represents a school where we have at least one teacher, if not more teachers. Now, we started out in the first year of our program, and we had 34 teachers in our program. The next year, it grew up to 88. And the following year, it's now up over 130 teachers, not allowing for the fact that we also license Teach for America in our alt license program, but they are not well, we ran a pilot with them this year around video coaching, and I'm hoping and crossing my fingers that I can get them to go into video coaching next year. But the first year, so what would happen is, and I think similar things happen in schools. First, we had the rapid expansion I just shared with you, statewide, so we can't be driving all over Colorado. So the first year what we did is we kind of farmed out the coaching to what we called field allies, alternative licensed instructors in the areas where we had remote candidates. That didn't work out well because they don't know our program. And so there was this just disconnect, and it didn't feel good. We had very low efficiency. I had one ally assigned to like 6 teachers, and even that, driving all over the place, trying to schedule the timing of the observations. Am I going to see something that is really going to benefit the teacher and myself in understanding where they're at? And we're losing time, we're losing money. It was a low efficiency, high cost type of situation that was going on. We couldn't get around enough. We found out we couldn't do many observations, and I know I work with a lot of principals and administrators in the building that I can't get around. I can't possibly see my teacher enough to be able to support them to the level I need. So it was difficult, I just mentioned, difficult to match that observation timing with the engagement and the program elements. So our solution, after one semester into our program, we're like, this is not working. We need a solution. So the spring semester, we started looking at different video platforms. And we looked at, I can't recall, TeacherTube, there was something else that we looked at, and we looked at Athena. And we settled on Athena, and I'll tell you why throughout this whole presentation. But what our solution is to go to video coaching the following year. And that process basically is we do some baseline assessments of our candidates right away, and then we set up these bi-weekly coaching cycles, and we can get observations directly linked to practice. And that's what I'm going to be showing you this morning about the power of the timing of all this and how you can better support teachers through the first model I'm going to tell you is one-on-one coaching. So, technology is an issue. First thing you have to do is really get teachers to feel comfortable with, first of all, filming themselves. And we learned that honestly the easiest thing to do is plop up a laptop with the webcam, try it at different places in the classroom that gets the best kind of angle. We don't want teachers messing around with moving cameras. They're so busy, they have to have a quick solution, easy solution. Open up your laptop, put the webcam on, hit record, and it takes care of itself. So they record a class. They must, in our program, upload this that evening, because the observation is pointless if you don't see it right away as a coach. We can't help them right away, especially in our world, in that, in alt license, we have teachers who have not gone through a teacher ed program. They're going through our program while they're getting their license, and they're teaching, and they need all the support and help that they can get. So they upload the video, and within 24 to 48 hours, their coach, their ally, will have watched that video and inserted comments and feedbacks to them that goes directly back to them, and it becomes a conversation back and forth, and you'll see again this morning how that works. So they upload it. We have a pre-cycle form that gives that typical background information you're looking for. The ally opens it up, provides feedback. They read and respond, and there's a conversation going back and forth. And then there's a post-cycle reflection form. There's additional office hours, virtual or in-person support that they can get. And then they move on they finish the cycle out and move on to the next one. We do 2 cycles a month. So we went from seeing our teachers 4 to 6 times in an entire year, which we knew was not nearly enough, to now seeing them 18 plus times. And I'll give you a really good example of how incredibly important observations are, and then for us to do our job. We had a teacher this year at the very beginning of the year who was really struggling in his classroom. He was in a big high school in Denver, in the Denver public school system. And my ally had already seen this teacher like 6 times on video, because he got the 3 baseline videos and 3 additional videos pretty quickly, because he recognized this teacher was struggling in the classroom. He then said, hey, Suzanne, I've got to go out and find out what's going on. So he went to the school. So because we video coach doesn't mean we don't go to schools. We go to schools when we need to. And he went out to the school, and he went into the office and said, I'm here to see such and such. Got to talk to the administrator. They had no idea. The administration had no idea that this teacher was struggling that much in the classroom, because they're so busy. I'm not putting the blame on the administration. It's a big school. They can't get around. They can't see. They don't know. And so we were able to get him support right away, because we actually saw him 6 times, and they were in his room 1 time, and it happened to be his best class. So they were not aware that he was struggling. So. Yeah, okay, thanks. So I'd like to show you the Athena platform, and I'm going to show you several cases here this morning and you have some handouts, because I'm going to have you engage in some conversations around this. All right, this is case 1, this is JJ, but what I want to show you first in regards to just how the platform works, okay? So I'm going to exit here. All right, here's the Athena platform. And I'm not here on behalf of Athena, but you're going to sound like I'm doing a promotion for Athena, because Athena is awesome. I there's no other way of putting it. They're incredibly responsive to our needs. But so this is what the platform looks like. There's some basic information that they'll put in, and each one of these looks different for a teacher. You can link, we have an observation protocol called the Quality Responsive Classrooms Observation Protocol. That is it's not in this one because this is an earlier video, but we now have it uploaded and we can tag for every teacher. So if you have, like in Colorado, we have the teacher quality standards that we have to, all teachers are rated on for their effectiveness. So we can put the teacher quality standards in there and we can tag them in the, where they are in terms of their effectiveness on different standards and different elements. So the platform, first of all, talk about the upload. It literally is, if they do use their laptop, it's literally take the file and drag it into their app or their uploader, and it does it all for them. It compresses the file, it translates the file to whatever it needs to be run on the Athena platform. It's a very secure platform. You cannot get into it unless you actually have an account with Athena. So this is a conversation back and forth between the teacher and the coach or whoever has access to if you're doing an exploration or a group. The thing that happens is you can tag these videos then they're color-coded. So you can see anywhere there is an orange ticker here is a place where Sam, his ally, inserted a question that he had for them. If it's green, he's offered a suggestion. If it's blue, identified a strength, and if it's yellow, just put some notes in. And the way we use this platform is we require our candidates to respond to all questions. So if their ally puts a question in there, they have to respond to that. And so that's what happens in this conversation. We're going to take a look at this. You actually have a little bit of that conversation in your hands right now, and we'll have you take a look at that closer in just a second. So let me just show you a quick little portion of JJ's classroom. This is in October. He's about 3 months into his teaching career. So kind of getting an idea of where he's at as a teacher. He's teaching The Raven, which is a very complex poem. But he used the Simpsons version of The Raven to kind of activate and get the students into it. But what I'm going to show you, just again, this is more to get a feel for his classroom. The Raven, the Simpson version is just finished, and he's coming up to give the warm-up questions that he wants his students to engage in.
Simpson's Raven. Simpson's Raven. Simpson's Raven. I think we can all agree that this is maybe a slightly different style than the first version we saw. A slightly different style than the poem we read. That's why I want you to write your warm-up. What is your impression of this video, and how did they change the style? I've got 2 sentence stems up here for you. One, while the original style is blank, the Simpsons style is blank. Or, if you'd like to challenge yourself a little bit more, the style of the poem utilizes what? And the style of the Simpsons episode utilizes what? So you can bring up maybe some of those literary devices that utilizes what to sort of create its things. So you can use some literary devices for that second one if you want. Take a minute or two, reflect on the style change here, and we'll get going. They took this poem right. Alright, so I want you to take a second and just share your thoughts with your partners. Share your thoughts with your partners. What did they change here? What happened? How did they do this? Right? They took this poem that sort of we watched 2 days ago with this crazy kind of animation. They took this poem written 150 years ago, and they turned it into a Simpsons episode, right? Or a part of the Simpsons episode. So chat with your partners about what exactly did they have to change in the style, but also, something I didn't do in the warm-up, what did they keep the same? What did they have to keep the same? Think about your fairy tale rewrite. You had to keep some things the same, but change some things. What did they have to keep the same to make sure that you knew that it was The Raven? So let's do some group talk before we jump in.
Okay, that just gives you a little glimpse into JJ's classroom. And what you have in your, you should have received a handout. And what it is, I know it's a lot of text, so you can scan through it quickly, but I wanted to give you an idea of the dialogue that can happen between a teacher and a coach. And this is the dialogue that JJ has with his coach, Sam, in regards to the observation on this. What I'd like for you to do is to take a little time to kind of scan through this and get your thoughts about what do you notice about the focus of the coaching observation. Think about this in your own context and how you would use this. And what do you think the teacher is learning through this process, and think about engagement and also as a coach. One of the challenges with video coaching is everything is so obvious, and I mean in terms of you could put a ticker down all through the thing, but what is the focus of kind of this conversation right now, and what do you pick up from reviewing the conversation in regards to the teacher-coach relationship? All right, so go ahead and take a few minutes, and you can talk amongst yourselves if you'd like. What are some things that I know it's a lot of text, but I wanted to give you an idea of what the richness, the possibilities of the richness of the conversation that go back and forth between this teacher and their coach. And this is easily extracted. All you have to, oh, I got my face. All you have to do is export comments, click on that, it brings the whole thing out. What are you noticing about the teacher-coach relationship, or the kinds of things that the conversation's going on, and what you can learn through this as a coach versus what you do in in-person types of coaching situations?
Well, it just seemed very, the teacher felt comfortable to admit the struggles that he was having. And there's obviously a large amount of trust in this relationship that he can just say, I lost 7 days of instruction.
Yeah. And that happened quickly, because this is October. Sam started working with him in August, and that is a fundamental foundation of our program, is that I want my instructors to develop that trusting relationship right away, as quickly as they can, so they're in constant, even though our program is you can either do our program fully online, or you can do our program part in person. We have PLCs monthly in person if you're Denver metro area, but establishing that trust starts with frequent contacts, whether that's video conferences or emails or phone calls or whatever, but the trusting relationship is critical. Other things.
I noticed that the comments are rather lengthy. And I appreciated that because they're interacting through the platform. They don't have to worry about chit-chat and small talk, and they know that it's all my time is on task, and so I can pour myself into it and know that I'll get a reply.
Yeah, yes, and that's where also that quick turnaround. If something sits in a box, it's just like doing the face-to-face observation, and you have the debrief a week later because you don't have time to fit schedules. This does it all for you. Yep.
On the other hand, if you sat down immediately with them right after the lesson, I'm not sure he would be quite as reflective. So there's a little bit of distance here, and then for him to really think through.
Well, then they go back and watch it, and we all know the opportunity. And I can't tell you, up front they're they're a little bit of afraid to do this because they're just not, But then after a while, it's like old hat. But they all talk about the power of actually going back and being able to watch themselves on video and what they learned from that. Yeah. It's direct. Yeah, it stays in the context of the learning. Yep, you bet. I was a science teacher for 18 years, secondary science teacher, and I've never had an observation like this once in my career in terms of the depth of which this went, because you just don't have the time to do it. So, and this goes on and on, you know, throughout the program. So the next thing I'd like to share with you is an extension of this to think about, you know, we're doing alt license, but many of you are in the K-12 world, or we bring in all this professional development, but do you ever get a chance to see your teachers do it? Are you ever holding them or them holding each other accountable to do it? Can't. It's just time, and I get that. Time is a problem. So this case about Cody is a very rich illustration of how we actually get to see our curriculum come to life, what we're trying to develop in teachers, come to life in Cody's classroom. Cody is a veteran, and he is teaching in the Colorado Springs area, an incredible science mind. He teaches science, but he's the kind of guy that would teach the theory of relativity all in one class period. You know, he was jamming all kinds of material into his lessons, and he has his students are kind of wrapped in his knowledge, but a very traditional teacher standing up in front. In our program, we really try to get our teachers to work and get the students talking to each other and not just the teacher standing up in front. So Cody, and this is in February that he did this. His ally kept working with him over and over, trying to get him to put a little bit, he's pretty formal in the classroom, try to relax a little bit, use some humor, connect to students. So he put him in the academic language. This is actually the part 2 of our academic language development practices, because he's in an English language acquisition, high ELA school district. So in this professional development module that we use in our program, he learns about Krashen's comprehensible input model. He understands the difference and the importance of bridging conversational and academic languages into lessons. He plans and implements the strategies to increase comprehensible input in your classroom, bridging those conversational and academic languages. These are the goals or outcomes for the module that he took. And what you have here is this is activity 2 directly out of that module, where in activity 1, he learned about all these strategies and the theory behind Krashen's comprehensible input and some practices. And then in activity 2, he built a lesson plan around it. And you're going to be able to see how much we'll take a look at that in a little bit, but I want to show you Cody in the classroom here a little. I would show you a bunch of clips from Cody. This is a phenomenal example all through the lesson of one of the things that he did is connect it to. So here's another example that he uploaded all these things, all his handouts for the lesson, gets uploaded directly into the platform. He first started out earlier in the lesson trying to contextualize it, that conversational language. Have any of you been to the beach all day? This is a lesson on tides. And gets his students, some of them, to share, yeah, I've been to the beach all day. And, you know, what did you notice about the water and, you know, the tides coming in, tides coming out? So they share that story. And then he shows some models in a little bit later. And then this is the end where he's actually now he even uses academic language.
Okay? All right, so let's talk about this. What do you think causes the tidal bulges to form? What do you think causes the tidal bulges to form? I'll even give you, let's talk about the academic language we need to discuss this. I want you to use, obviously, in your hypothesis, either an as and a then, all right, or an if and a then, and think about these things. If and as, you should be thinking about the observer's position or the moon's position. Then And then you should think about gravity, all right? And the near and far-sighted and those bulges. Right? If you could tie all that information together in an as-then or an if-then statement, and you formed a good hypothesis, then you probably will draw a very good conclusion as to what's causing these types.
He doesn't do this all the time, but there's like 38 students back here. Okay? For some reason in this observation, he wanted to focus up front. And, yeah. But, so I want to just take a quick look at what he learned. Oops, I'm in the wrong thing. So you have this in front of you, because I thought that would be hard for you to see, but on the back end, so he had to build a lesson plan out of this. And one of the challenges we have people all over the place in our program, so we don't have like a lesson plan template that we demand, okay? And I'm actually not that caught up in it, but we all expect certain elements to be found in a lesson. And particularly if you're focusing on developing not only just content objectives, but language objectives. And so what you see in here is if you see our actual module, he's bringing to life what he's learning in the module into a lesson. And then in the back, he had to spell out exactly how he was going to bridge. He had to select 3 of these 5 strategies to implement, sharing his background knowledge through the conversational, hybrid, and academic language. So he had to really think through this lesson on multiple levels. And the beauty of this is we now get to say, want to see that, Cody. We want to see this lesson, all right? And in a traditional observation thing or professional development, we never get to see this. I mean, it's complete luck if we get to see it. Or if you have teachers that are working in triads and you want them to be observing each other, when do they have time to do that? And actually get into the lessons that we want to see. So again, to me, video coaching allows us to see the things that we typically don't get around to seeing. And I just wanted to kind of give you an example of how you can take some kind of professional learning experience and actually see it transformed into, actually see it happen in the classroom, which often doesn't happen. Any thoughts or questions? This was Cody's overall reaction around repetition.
Or accommodations. Is that up to the teacher?
So that's a great point. The focus of this was on academic language, and that is probably, it's a great point. We actually have in every module at the end of the module, because our special education program lead has helped us with that, we put in at the very end, how are you going to, so it's not evident on here, but in the module itself is always the specific questions to students with special needs. So you're right. Good point, not on that particular piece. Any other thoughts? Okay, then the last case gets to the video club. We have, in our program, some teachers, we do one-on-one through the whole program for many of our teachers. But by the second semester, some teachers are ready to work with other teachers. And so we created these things called video clubs. And in this video club that I'm going to show you, it's 2 teachers working with one ally, Julia, their ally. What's cool about this example is that we have George, who is in southeastern rural Colorado, La Junta, Colorado, 6th grade social studies teacher, collaborating with a 4th grade elementary teacher in the Denver public school system. So you talk about different contexts, completely different contexts, and yet these 2 folks are coming together on a video club and are learning together and loving it. So how does this work? This is like a 6-week, this is a very longer cycle because this is a little bit more deeper learning. And the cool thing about this is the teachers decide what they want to focus on. So Julia, will bring George and Megan together through video. We use Zoom video conferencing, through video to meet virtually. And they decide what is the area of focus that they want to focus on. And we make them pick from our quality responsive classrooms protocol, our observation protocol. So they look at it, and together they decide, we want to focus on this. And this particular one, they focused on student self-assessment because neither of them were doing it. And they said, wow, let's see if we can learn something about student self-assessment. And I think, these folks, this happened just recently. They're in like their 6th, 7th month of teaching ever. And they're thinking about how do I get students engaged in self-assessment. I think it's a pretty cool thing. So the second thing, so from 1 week to another, they decide their focus, and then Julia has a little bit of tasks on her hand, say, okay, that's our focus. I need to go find some materials for them. And we want them to watch another video of a teacher, and Athena has this whole library of videos. And so she found a video that they used that had a teacher doing a pretty good job, nothing's perfect, but a pretty good job of student self-assessment in the classroom. So they watched that sample video together. This was an exploration. This is an exploration feature of Athena. She put the video in there, and they watched it, all 3 of them, and added comments about what they were learning and coming to know about student self-assessment. She also supplemented this with a couple articles as well to give them some ideas. So that's what they did in week 2. They watched the sample video, put their comments in, starting to percolate some ideas. In the 3rd week, they had to submit their own video of them utilizing student self-assessment in the classroom. And so they put the video in there, and then it gives them the week to do the video. A week then, they put comments in each other's. They watch each other's videos, and they put comments in each other's videos. Then the 5th week, and I got to sit in on this just last week, where they meet virtually again to share what they learned and ask any questions that they still have. And then they take a week off to decide what their next focus is, and they're going to get ready to go on that again. So what I'd like to show you, you'll miss George's he starts the club talking about his experiences, and what he did was a full unit, end of unit self-assessment, where he had his students pretend that they were writing letters to 6th graders to next year about what it was that they were going to learn in this unit when they got there next year. So it was pretty cool. And he did some other things as well. But let me, this is a part of this is a little bit of a longer clip.
So Megan, let's transition over to you. So if you want to find your part that you want to show or just talk about in terms of sort of what questions you still have, what are you thinking about it, that kind of thing.
Perfect. I'll show like the last few seconds of mine. My thing is just when they are actually self-assessing, and I've kind of changed it a little bit, but I'll show like the very last little bit.
If you could share your screen again, and you can go back and pause it on that traffic light, and we can see what you can explain what you wrote on the 3 colors.
I can definitely do that. Okay, so not the best. It's kind of blurry.
That's okay. Yeah, what did you write on each of those?
Yeah. So on the very top one was I did the thumbs as well, so they got like a visual representation. So the first one is green, it's a thumbs up, and it says, I've got this, I can do it on my own, or I feel comfortable doing it on my own, I can help others if they need help. The second one is sideways, and it says, I feel comfortable doing this, but I might have some questions. And then the very bottom one is red, and it's a thumbs down, and it just says, I didn't quite get the lesson, I might need some one-on-one help or review the lesson.
Cool. So yeah, I think this is really what I really love about this too is the diversity of responses here is that you really have like, it looks like a third of your class on red, yellow, and green, which is probably pretty valid, right? That's usually kind of what it shakes out to be in terms of how people are understanding the material, which is really cool. So Megan, what are you thinking about this at this point? Do you have questions about this particular self-assessment technique or how this went? What's on your mind in terms of it?
A little. So I've tweaked it a little bit to where now I don't have everyone come up to the board because I felt like that was a little bit of a cluster. And so what I'm doing now is I'm calling 3 people up at once and I'm having them try and like work while other people are going up to the board, but I'm finding that to be a distraction. So I was wondering if there's like a faster way of having them come up and put their clips where they are, or maybe go to a different system, go back to the thumbs. I just don't want to get off track.
Yeah. George, do you have a thought about that? Or Suzanne too? Efficiency?
What I was wondering, I don't know the kind of activity you're having them do, but what would be interesting is they could almost do it throughout. I don't know if they have a sense that like, oh my gosh, I am lost right now. I need to go up and put it at the red. Or they start working on it and feel like I got it and they can, so I don't know if that would help or not.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, similar to the video.
I mean,
go ahead, George. Yeah,
I was gonna say maybe if they come out throughout the class, throughout the lesson to do that. I mean, that's the main reason why I don't have the board up, because I don't trust all of them going up there at one time. And I have, 5 different classes, so I would have, 100 clips and things like that. Maybe there's something you could keep on each table, or I don't know, pass around or something like that. So
yeah, Megan, how do those ideas sound? I mean, I think it pushes self-assessment to another level when it's ongoing versus at the end. So what do you think about that, Megan?
I like that a lot better because I do like doing the self-assessments. It is nice seeing who is going to be asking questions for help, who should be doing it on their own, and who's going to be with me in the back. It's a great like checkup. I'm just wondering if I should move it to like the back of the room because I don't want them to be coming up like during the lesson, like touching other people's desks as 4th graders do because they like to get distracted and touch things. So maybe I can have a certain place in the room where it won't be distracting for the rest of the class if someone gets up and goes. Or I do like having like a block or something to where the group can assess. But I think for right now, I want it to be a little bit more individual.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think those are good intentions moving forward. If not this year, for next year, right? When you start with a new group and you can start it in the beginning and it's a little more part of your teaching practices, right? Yeah, that'd be good. A question I had specifically after I watched Megan's video, but this is for both of you, is, and this sounds simple, but how do you know what to ask them to self-assess on? Because Megan, I think your question was,
okay, I think you get
and correct me if I'm wrong, I think
the richness of that debrief, and that happened, now you can do that locally, but because these 2 folks are so far removed from each other, but yet different grade levels, different contexts, but still learning together, and I'm willing to be vulnerable and say, and that's kind of refreshing that well, you have to get to actually admit that nothing's ever perfect, and these are things that happen. Yeah, I think I wouldn't go larger than 3 teachers to a group to keep it going. That's the largest group that we have. This one on, like 2 is kind of ideal, but we, sometimes numbers wise, it's hard to manage if we just did all pairs. So I think 3 would be ideal. Yeah.
What platform were you using for the group?
Zoom video conference. Yeah, we use Zoom for video conferencing, Athena for video coaching, and we use Haiku learning management system for our online modules that we have. So they're checked out to the max. And Google, we use Google Apps.
So we heard the cat in the background.
Yes.
We assumed they were in a home environment.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm wondering, is this something that extends to home, or is that something that they could do as with the administrator, allow them to be able to take video clubs during the day if there's a conference time or something?
I think that would be awesome. Yeah, this is done after school because just to find the time because of geography. But if it's in school time, if you have the opportunity to have the pair of teachers or the trio of teachers, if you did everything up to like this final conversation through Athena, and then had the final conversation where they came together and said, hey, this is what I learned. This is what I learned from your video. Here are some questions that I still have. Engage. Again, you see how the professional development can really be targeted to the things that you as an administrator are trying to have them do. And then the video allows them to not have to figure out, how am I going to get in your classroom at the time that I need to see what I need to see. It eliminates all that. And you can confine it to a real small clip, you know, not to the whole, and we don't even talk about that, but Athena has a clip editor that is really easy to use, but we just tell our teachers, just upload the whole thing, tell us what part to watch, and we'll watch it. This meeting here, so this was week 5 of our process. So we have like a 6 weeks off. So this was a 5-week process. And you think about how busy teachers are. You need to, but here's the other thing. I think you know how busy they are, but you also, if you give them, just like their students, if you scaffold it for them and say, this week, this is what you need to do, pick a focus. All right, you know, whatever your process is, but if you literally map it out for them and give them the structure, they'll do it. If you put it out there willy-nilly for them, the odds are they're not going to do it because they're so busy with other things. So figuring out how to structure that for them, I think, is really important. Yep.
Who determines, or how is it determined who's in the video club together?
So Julia works with about 18 to 20 teachers. It's like a caseload that they have. And so by working with them through the first semester, she kind of knows who's ready for this and how to pair them up. And so she uses that first semester to try to figure that out. And so again, as a coach, I would think you would understand the personalities or the types of things that you want each of the different teachers to see. And so you make those decisions based on that. She asked them to make sure that they were okay with it, I was able to sit in on another video club recently, this part of it, and both of them talked about how at the beginning of the year they would not have done it because they weren't ready to be vulnerable yet and to share what's happening in their classroom. But they loved it because, and once they got into it, because they realized, oh, I'm not alone. All right, yeah, there's other teachers out there that are struggling with some of the same things, and then they learn from each other. And ironically, in that one, the coach was saying, I've been trying to work with this teacher all year to get to do some things, and this was actually a special ed video club. And it was the other teacher in the program who said it to her, and she said, that's a really good idea. I think and she did it then. But the coach was like, I've been telling her all year to do that. So that's the kind of things that happen. Any other thoughts? But I'm kind of at the point of, I'm thinking about what are the opportunities that you see. I do want to, well, we have a little time. So do you see some opportunities of how this might be able to come and how it might solve some of the barriers or challenges that you're having around coaching and teacher development? And I still put that link to professional development. Yeah.
So do you know of folks that have used this for experienced teachers that perhaps need to reflect on part of their practice and the difficulty to get them to actually see this?
So that's what I'm trying to encourage people to do, actually, is to, yeah, go ahead.
So, my school, we have PLCs and teachers, whatever amount of years you've been teaching, I'm at a middle school. And so I was in this group of ELD for learning ELD strategies, and we're supposed to observe. And they will try to find you coverage. But the problem is, something comes up, you can't get in, or So I want to take this back to my school and see if we can do it this way, because I wanted feedback, but there's nobody who has time to come in and do that with me. And then we're pairing up with people from our PLC, and then I feel like this could help me, because then I feel bad. I didn't have time. But when I went in the room, she wasn't doing the strategies we were working on. When she came in my room, she couldn't come in the day I was doing the strategies we were working on. So I, as a teacher or whatever, how many years you want to go there, would love to have this opportunity to better coordinate.
I would also add, I think it would be an excellent opportunity, even for some veteran teachers who teach certain strategies very, very effectively.
Yeah.
And have them model that and share that out with those who don't, so that can be a baseline.
The one thing we are moving into is induction. So we are going to be working with some teachers who, in different school districts, induction year, and this is part of the package that we're having for them, so that they'll be video coached by our, this is interesting, not by the on-site mentor coach, but by us and outside agents, whatever. Again, that trusting relationship, but think about how to support first-year teachers much better than we're able to, or any teacher that's struggling. I mean, or any teacher, to be honest with you. How do we get teachers to own their learning? And I think if you can figure out a way to connect effective professional development and focus with this type of support and community, and kind of reduce the noise around some of the other stuff, I think they would buy into it. That you'll have to talk with Adam and Dan around that. It's a cost per person, but they'll handle that, and I don't want to get into that.
I'm wondering if you could explain again for me the size of your program. You have the allies that work with these video clubs. Are these full-time allies?
Yes.
And how many do you have, and how many teachers are they able to help?
So I have right now 6.5 FTEs, 12-month instructor employees. They have about a load of, that do this, around 18 to 20 teachers on their caseload, okay? In addition to that, they have a load of Teach for America folks, but they don't do the video coaching for them. So all total, one of my allies will have a load of about 34 teachers that they're working with, but they're full-time. And here's the thing, we could not do this if we were driving all over the place supporting teachers. We just, and we couldn't do it. Think about your coaching loads in your own building. They can't do it. They can't get around, and they can't get support enough. This to me is that it's the efficiency and cost solution. So that's our program now is over 200 teachers, and growing. And so some people raise questions about, did you have problems with the school districts? And we run into some situations where we have some folks in treatment facilities. We work out different arrangements with those folks. But it's interesting, we had initially some school HR folks, well, I don't know if we can do that. But then as we start working with our teachers, and it's not even an issue anymore. They don't even, it's just, this is how our program works, and this is for learning and teacher preparation. And every once in a while, we'll get a principal that will call me, and I explain how it works and how this is just like this one-on-one, and we don't have any issues. That could vary from your place. That's just where we are in Colorado. We're pretty good that way.
I have a question about the special ed. Do you have allies that are specifically
Yep.
for special ed?
2 of my allies are specific. Our highest areas are special education, math, and science. Those are our biggies. And we get elementary bilingual would be probably then our 4th. So every one of my allies has a specialty. However, we expect them to be, while they all have a specialty, they are expected to be generalists in understanding what's really good pedagogy, instruction, curriculum, and that. But what's cool is my allies, this is different in higher ed. I come from, I'm in higher ed world, and when I was on the other side, I said, they're like independent contractors. They come in, they teach their classes, and you never see them unless they're in there teaching their classes. All right? My team is completely different. We are in the office together. They can work from home 1 day a week. But why we do that? Because they collaborate. Because someone will be watching something on a video, and they'll go get Jenny and say, Jenny, I need your help on this. So we collaborate. We model collaboration as a team, as an ally team, to sit together and not only through videos, but also through submissions to modules and things like that. So they support each other to help troubleshoot some of the challenges that teachers are having and help each other out. Anything else? I'm going to end with this video of the teachers talking about, I asked them at the end about, wait, that's not it, the video coaching. So you see me just at the beginning of this, or just, yeah, the coaching, the video.
Benefits from not only this program, but just in general, was being able to videotape a lesson. Because in your mind, you would think, oh, that went so well. But then if you watch it over, you see those kids in the back that you lost, or you see that you could have worded something a little bit differently. So I know as meeting a first-year teacher that if I didn't have like a video of myself doing something and some goal that I was working on, I would be A, lost on what I should be working on, and B, I would have no idea what I look like teaching. So I think this whole video thing, especially with the one-on-one meetings with the Ally and George, I call you Ally, sorry, with Julia and George. It's been helpful because not only are you seeing yourself, but you're getting feedback from other teachers on what they think you should work on and what your strengths are. So it's really like
Okay, thank you. Yep.
Yeah, that's helpful.
I mean, I would agree. The videos are a huge help because in your mind, everything's going perfect. Because I was doing master's classes at Regis, and I don't see myself using very much of that. But the second I got into this program, I was using that information day one. And I think having the feedback from Julia and just meeting, even in the small groups, but then on the smaller group, you get feedback and you get ideas and you get to at least pick other minds that you don't have the chance to do in any other program. I mean, because I was doing the master's program for 3 years, and this stuff I've been using right away. And I feel like I've learned more in the 6 months we've been doing this than I have in those 3 years.
That's it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And Adam is here if you have any Athena questions. I'm sure he'd be able to help you. Yeah, so thank you.